Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now September 2nd of 2022, and that means we're only getting closer to other Star Wars TV shows out there like Andor, Bad Batch 2, as well as Tales of the Jedi. That's really going to conclude the 2022 year for the Star Wars material before we head into next year. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you also very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, there's been a lot of recent developments happening behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm between Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, Kathleen Kennedy, and a lot more that's really brewing and really changing the atmosphere of Lucasfilm as a company. Now, as we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that the Acolyte has been going through quite a big shift. Given that, of course, Favreau and Lucas got a lot of control over the 5 episodes of the Acolyte series. Not that they're writing the show, but that they will be calling the shots, essentially, over what Leslie Headland is able to essentially put into the series and what she's not able to put in there. Only for those 5 episodes. The remaining 4, which are going to be the first half, pretty much for the most part, will be handled by Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie, where they're able to do their own thing. So this show, though it has some hope attached to it, there is, a bit of a risk here, and a lot of people are still skeptical. So with that being said, what's even all the more intriguing has a lot to do with what recently happened with Jon Favreau, and of course, how this was all initiated by the Disney executives. We're going to be diving into that in just a second, because there's been a lot of changes involving the Acolyte, other shows out there like Star Wars Andor Season 2, and a whole lot more. Now, of course, on top of this, with Kathleen Kennedy still having many issues with the Acolyte series, and Jon and George calling the shots on 5 episodes of that show, it's described that currently, however, recently creator Jon Favreau was given the opportunity to take over a role that Kathleen Kennedy had within Lucasfilm that was finalized by Disney executives that is now going into full effect for the Star Wars fandom. Now, it's described that as of right now, Jon Favreau will be taking over Kathleen Kennedy as the role of producer for shows like The Acolyte, Andor Season 2, and other ones as well, that she was previously attached to in order to have the power to market those shows in a specific way. Bob Chapek, the Disney CEO, is the one who came up with the idea for Favreau to take over as producer for a batch of the Star Wars TV shows so that some of these shows can be produced more effectively in order to actually create an ongoing success for the Star Wars franchise. This is actually what came as a response from Disney after Kathleen Kennedy had created so many issues with the Acolyte and causing setbacks one after the other, and costing Disney tons of revenue by creating sets based on the script, on, of course, the main script, and then being forced to destroy them and build new ones based on rewrites. It's one of the main reasons as to why now Disney is moving the Acolyte to film more on location than in studio in order to shift the production time for the series. Now, before I get to the next piece here that's very, much gonna dive more into Jon Favreau, is that, in case you guys were unaware, the Acolyte series went through a lot of problems because of Kathleen Kennedy. She's the one that was firing co-writers left and right, firing directors that were supposed to be a part of the series that had different creative visions of the Acolyte. They were not really agreeing with her vision at all, and that created further issues. So, when you look at a show like The Acolyte, it really has been a production nightmare, to say the least. I mean, there's been nothing like it when it comes to Star Wars. I have never seen a Star Wars project, be it a movie or a show, have so much trouble just because of Kathleen Kennedy having these visions of the series that keep pretty much alternating and or changing and only causing more issues down the road. And it's not just on a creative scale, it's also on a business level. She kept on requesting higher budgets, she kept on requesting, certain co-writers and certain directors to come on board strictly after getting rid of the previous ones. I mean, it was a mess. And only now it's beginning to somewhat come back together because of Favreau and Lucas having that creative power. Now, given that Favreau is taking over as a producer is a big deal, not just for the Acolyte, but also for Star Wars Andor Season 2, and even other Star Wars shows out there that Kathleen Kennedy was originally attached to for, of course, the role of producer. That is all now changing, and that is all beginning to shift because Disney executives are just very tired with Kathleen Kennedy. So that brings us to where we are now, is that the Acolyte is going under a major change. A lot of different, story elements are being thrown in there, thanks to Favreau and Lucas, and even Filoni to a degree as well. So that's another thing to be very excited about. Now, past this, Favreau is said to now not only have control over 5 episodes, but will be in charge of the marketing and budget for the series to a large degree. Favreau also is going to be actually involved in some of the script rewrites before they begin to plan filming the major parts of the show by this December in order to give the series a brand new tone for the fandom. Now, Favreau, as of now, is described to also be developing other TV shows with George Lucas, for the time being, one of which is going to be Star Wars Underworld, that focuses on the events just after Order 66. Now, with Favreau replacing Kathleen Kennedy as producer for a handful of these shows, it's said to exceed both Acolyte and Andor Season 2, and that it will become known in the coming weeks to months. So far, Filoni is also getting involved with some portions of the Acolyte by guiding and supervising Leslie Headland on what to do and what not to do in the script. So here's the other thing that I think a lot of fans need to know, is the fact that we have Favreau taking over Kathleen Kennedy as a producer, and it's not just for the Acolyte, it's also for Star Wars Andor Season 2 and other shows out there that we're currently unaware of. We're going to be learning more about that, like I say, in the coming weeks. This is a very important time because this is only lending more and more power to Jon Favreau, and I think it's for the better. Because the Acolyte now at least has a 50% chance shot at least being a decent show. Meanwhile, beforehand, it didn't really sound like it was going to be all that great because it was all being driven by Kathleen Kennedy 100%. Now, the Acolyte has been going through a lot of rewrites as we know it. It's likely to be a mess of a story, at least for the ones that are being driven by Kathleen Kennedy, those episodes. But the fact that we have Favreau and Lucas, taking care of the series and really supervising Leslie on what to do, it could very well be a show that has mixed tones, where the theming is going to feel very off in between, where the first half will be like its own story, and then the second half could very well be something of its own. That's the very skeptical thing that a lot of fans are actually obsessing over right now, is the fact, what is this show really going to be like when it comes to theming? And it's a totally right thing that fans should be worried about. I understand that, because this is a show that is going to focus on the very end of the High Republic era. It's going to have a lot to do with Sith Lords and dark side users and all that great stuff. But that's the one thing that a lot of fans were let down by, is the fact that it was going to be a Kathleen Kennedy driven show. Now there's hope. So Favreau producing the show now, and even Star Wars Andor and taking over other shows, this just goes to show you that he's getting more and more power. So overall, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.